Right now, as you are watching this video, two people are earning the exact same salary at the exact same company, working the exact same hours, yet one of them will retire a millionaire, while the other will work until they're 75 and still worry about money. The difference isn't intelligence, it isn't luck, and it isn't even about how much they earn. The difference is entirely psychological. What separates the financially independent from the financially trapped isn't found in spreadsheets or stock portfolios. It's found in the 6 inches between their ears. Today, we're going deep into the 7 psychological approaches that separate those who build wealth from those who watch it slip away. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly which mental frameworks are keeping you from financial freedom and how to rewire them starting today. Financial independence isn't just about numbers, it's about identity, beliefs, and the invisible scripts we've been running in our minds since childhood. Most people think wealth is a math problem, but billionaires and behavioral economists know it's actually a psychology problem. You can give 2 people the same financial education, the same starting capital, and the same opportunities, and they'll end up in completely different places financially. Why? Because money is emotional, money is psychological, and money reveals who we really are when we're tested. The wealthiest people in the world don't just think differently about money. They fundamentally rewired their relationship with risk, delayed gratification, identity, and purpose. They've cracked the code that most people never even realize exists. So let's break down these 7 psychological approaches that create true financial independence. And more importantly, let's understand how you can adopt these frameworks regardless of where you are starting from today. Number 1, the identity shift. The first psychological approach is what I call the identity shift, and it's the most powerful yet most overlooked aspect of building wealth. Let me tell you about Marcus, a 32-year-old marketing manager who was earning $75,000 a year, but was somehow always broke. Marcus wasn't reckless with money, he just identified as someone who wasn't good with finances. He'd say things like, "I am just not a numbers person," or "I am more creative than analytical." Then, something shifted. After attending a financial workshop, Marcus didn't just learn about budgets and investments, he began to see himself differently. He started saying, "I am someone who makes intentional financial decisions, and I am building wealth systematically." Within 18 months, Marcus had paid off $23,000 in debt and built a 6-month emergency fund. Nothing changed in his income. Everything changed in his identity. Here is the psychological truth that most people miss. You cannot outperform your self-identity for long. If you see yourself as someone who's bad with money, your subconscious mind will sabotage every attempt you make to build wealth because it conflicts with who you believe you are. Your brain craves consistency between your identity and your actions, so it will literally create behaviors that match your self-concept. The wealthy don't just have money. They identify as wealth builders, as investors, as people who make their money work for them. This isn't about positive thinking or affirmations. This is about genuinely shifting how you see yourself in relationship to money. When you identify as someone who is becoming financially independent, you start making micro decisions throughout your day that align with that identity. You skip the impulse purchase not because you are depriving yourself, but because that's not what someone building wealth would do right now. You research investment opportunities not because someone told you to, but because that's what investors do. The identity shift is the foundation upon which every other approach is built, and without it, all the financial strategies in the world won't create lasting change. Number 2, future self-visualization. The second psychological approach is deeply rooted in neuroscience and behavioral economics, and it's called future self-visualization. Let me introduce you to Jennifer, a 28-year-old software developer who was earning 6 figures but spending almost all of it. Jennifer loved luxury. She loved experiences, and she loved living in the moment. Saving felt like punishing her current self for some hypothetical future person she didn't really know. Then Jennifer's financial advisor had her do something unusual. She had Jennifer write a detailed letter from her 65-year-old self back to her current 28-year-old self. Jennifer had to imagine her future self's life in vivid detail. Where she lived, what her health was like, what regrets she had, and what she was grateful for. As Jennifer wrote from this future perspective, something cracked open emotionally. Her 65-year-old self was thanking her for the investments she made in her 30s, for the discipline she showed, for choosing her future freedom over temporary pleasure. Jennifer cried while writing this letter because, for the first time, her future self felt real, felt like an actual person she had a responsibility to. The psychological research here is fascinating. Studies show that most people view their future selves as strangers, almost as different people entirely. When you don't emotionally connect with your future self, saving money feels like giving your hard-earned cash to a stranger. Why would you sacrifice for someone you don't know or care about? But when you vividly visualize your future self, when you make that person real in your mind, everything changes. Suddenly, putting money into retirement isn't about deprivation. It's about generosity towards someone you love, your future self. The wealthy have mastered this psychological approach. They don't see their future selves as abstract concepts. They see them as real people, whose quality of life depends entirely on the decisions being made today. They've created emotional bonds with their future selves, and that bond makes delayed gratification not just easier, but emotionally compelling. Try this exercise. Close your eyes and imagine yourself 20 years from now. What does your day look like? Where do you live? What do you worry about? What are you grateful you did today? The more real you can make that future self, the more naturally you'll make decisions that serve them. Number 3. The abundance paradox. The third psychological approach is what I call the abundance paradox, and it's completely counterintuitive. Meet David and Rachel, two colleagues working in the same accounting firm. David came from a working-class background where money was always tight and every dollar was fought over. Rachel grew up in a middle-class family where money wasn't discussed much, but there was always enough. Here is what's fascinating. David, who experienced scarcity, developed a scarcity mindset that actually perpetuated his financial struggles. He hoarded money in low-interest savings accounts because he was terrified of losing it. He didn't invest because he saw the market as risky. He didn't negotiate his salary because he was grateful just to have a job. Rachel, meanwhile, operated from an abundance mindset. She saw opportunities everywhere. She invested confidently. She negotiated assertively. She took calculated risks. Within 10 years, Rachel's net worth was 5 times higher than David's, despite them earning similar salaries. Here is the paradox. To build wealth, you must think abundantly even when you are experiencing scarcity. This doesn't mean being reckless or foolish. It means refusing to let fear and scarcity consciousness dictate your decisions. A scarcity mindset sees every dollar spent on self-development as money lost. An abundance mindset sees it as an investment in higher earning potential. The scarcity mindset avoids the stock market because you could lose everything. The abundance mindset understands calculated risk and historical returns. Scarcity mindset clings to a mediocre job because, at least, it's stable. The abundance mindset knows that betting on yourself is often the safest bet you can make. The psychological research shows that scarcity literally changes how your brain functions. When you are operating from scarcity, your cognitive bandwidth narrows, your time horizon shortens, and you make poorer decisions because you are in survival mode. The wealthy have learned to maintain abundance consciousness regardless of their current circumstances. They train their minds to see possibilities instead of limitations, opportunities instead of threats, expansion instead of contraction. This isn't about ignoring reality. It's about refusing to let temporary circumstances create permanent psychological patterns that keep you trapped. Number 4. Delayed gratification mastery. The fourth psychological approach is delayed gratification mastery, and it's perhaps the most studied predictor of financial success. You've probably heard of the famous marshmallow experiment, where children who could wait for a second marshmallow ended up more successful later in life. But let me tell you about Thomas, because his story illustrates something the marshmallow test doesn't capture. Thomas was a 35-year-old sales executive who had built genuine wealth, not because he was naturally patient, but because he had reframed what delayed gratification actually meant. Thomas used to see delayed gratification as sacrifice, as giving something up, as denying himself pleasure. That framing made it painful and unsustainable. Then he learned to reframe it completely. Instead of "I can't buy this expensive watch right now," Thomas started thinking, "I am choosing to invest this money so that future Thomas can buy 10 watches without thinking about it." This reframe is psychologically crucial because it shifts delayed gratification from loss to gain, from sacrifice to strategy, from deprivation to empowerment. The wealthy don't see themselves as depriving themselves when they delay gratification. They see themselves as making power moves. They're not giving something up. They're exchanging something small now for something massive later. They've trained their brains to feel pleasure not from the immediate purchase, but from the strategic decision itself. There is a neurological component here, too. When you delay gratification and then see the positive results of that delay, whether it's watching your investment account grow or reaching a savings goal, your brain releases dopamine. Over time, you can actually rewire your reward system so that the strategic decision itself becomes pleasurable, not just the eventual outcome. Consider Sarah, a teacher earning $48,000 a year who became a millionaire by retirement. Sarah didn't earn more than her colleagues, but she had mastered delayed gratification in a way that felt empowering rather than restrictive. She drove a reliable 10-year-old car while her colleagues bought new cars every few years. She packed lunches while they ate out daily. She invested automatically before she could even think about spending. But here is what made Sarah different. She never felt deprived. She had reframed every delayed gratification decision as a vote for her future freedom. Each lunch she packed was a brick in her financial independence house. Each year, she kept her paid-off car, which was worth thousands more dollars working for her in the market. She had turned delayed gratification into a game she was winning, and that reframe made all the difference. The key is finding ways to make delayed gratification feel rewarding in the present moment, not just in some distant future. Number 5. Emotional regulation around money. The fifth psychological approach is emotional regulation around money, and this is where most people unknowingly sabotage themselves. Let me tell you about Michelle and Robert, a married couple who were both high earners but had completely different emotional relationships with money. Michelle was what psychologists call a money avoider. She felt guilty about having money, anxious about managing it, and would literally feel physical stress when looking at her bank accounts. Robert was a money-vigilant personality, meaning he was watchful and careful, but this sometimes tipped into anxiety and excessive worry. Their different emotional patterns created conflict and poor financial decisions until they learned to recognize and regulate these emotional responses. Here is what most people don't realize. Your financial decisions are rarely purely rational. They're deeply emotional, often driven by fear, shame, guilt, envy, or pride. Someone who grew up poor might overspend as an adult to prove they're not poor anymore. Someone who grew up wealthy might self-sabotage because they feel guilty about their privilege. Someone whose parents fought about money might avoid financial discussions entirely. The wealthy have learned to recognize these emotional patterns and create space between the emotion and the decision. They feel the fear, but don't let it dictate the choice. They feel the temptation, but pause before acting on it. Consider James, a former impulse spender who transformed his financial life by implementing what he called the 24-hour rule. Whenever he felt a strong urge to make a significant purchase, he'd wait 24 hours before deciding. This simple pause allowed the emotional intensity to decrease and his rational mind to engage. He realized that about 70% of his impulse purchases lost their appeal after just one day. The emotional charge had dissipated, and he could see clearly whether the purchase aligned with his values and goals. This is emotional regulation in action. It's not about suppressing emotions. It's about recognizing them, understanding where they come from, and not letting them hijack your financial decisions. The most successful wealth builders I've studied have developed what I call emotional awareness without emotional reactivity. They notice when they're feeling scared, greedy, envious, or impulsive. They acknowledge those feelings. But they've created decision-making systems that don't allow emotions to override their long-term strategy. If you are making financial decisions while emotionally activated, you are almost certainly making poor decisions. Learn to notice the emotion, honor it, and then let it pass before you act. Number 6, purpose-driven wealth building. The sixth psychological approach is purpose-driven wealth building, and it's the difference between grinding toward a number and building toward a meaningful life. Let me introduce you to Christopher, a corporate lawyer who was earning $400,000 a year, but was absolutely miserable. Christopher had been building wealth because that's what successful people did, because society told him to, because his parents expected it. But there was no deeper purpose beyond accumulation. Then Christopher had a health scare at 43 that forced him to confront what he actually wanted from his life. He realized he'd been building wealth without any clear vision of what that wealth was supposed to enable. After deep reflection, Christopher identified his true purpose. He wanted to create a foundation that provided legal services to wrongly convicted prisoners. Suddenly, his wealth building had meaning beyond himself. Every dollar he saved and invested was a dollar toward this larger purpose. His motivation soared, his satisfaction increased, and ironically, he started making even better financial decisions because they were connected to something that deeply mattered. The psychological research is clear. Humans are purpose-seeking creatures. We need meaning. When wealth building is disconnected from purpose, it becomes empty and unsustainable. You might push through for a while on discipline alone, but eventually, the why becomes crucial. The wealthy understand this deeply. They're not just building wealth for wealth's sake. They're building it for freedom, for impact, for legacy, for the ability to live according to their values. They've connected their financial goals to their deepest purposes. And that connection provides fuel that never runs out. Ask yourself this question. If you achieved financial independence tomorrow, what would you do with your time and resources? If you can't answer that clearly, you don't yet have a purpose-driven relationship with wealth. Your purpose might be spending more time with family, creating art, starting a charitable organization, traveling the world, or simply having the freedom to say no to things that drain you. Whatever it is, connect your wealth building to that purpose, and watch how your motivation and decision-making transform. Number 7, anti-fragile financial psychology. The seventh and final psychological approach is what I call anti-fragile financial psychology, a concept borrowed from Nassim Taleb, but applied specifically to wealth building. Most people have fragile financial psychologies, meaning that setbacks break them, market downturns devastate them, and unexpected expenses throw them into panic. But the wealthy have developed anti-fragile psychologies, meaning they don't just survive challenges, they actually grow stronger through them. Let me tell you about Elena, an entrepreneur who lost almost everything when her first business failed. She had invested her savings, maxed out credit cards, and ended up $60,000 in debt. Most people would have been destroyed by this. Elena was devastated initially, but then something shifted. She analyzed what went wrong, extracted every lesson, rebuilt her financial foundation slowly and strategically, and launched a second business with all the wisdom she'd gained. That second business generated multiple seven figures within 3 years. Elena often says that losing everything was the best financial education she ever received because it forced her to develop psychological resilience and strategic thinking that she never would have developed otherwise. Anti-fragile financial psychology means viewing market volatility not as a threat, but as an opportunity to buy quality assets at discount prices. It means viewing financial setbacks not as failures, but as data points and learning experiences. It means understanding that true financial independence isn't about never facing challenges. It's about developing the psychological flexibility to adapt, learn, and grow through whatever comes. The wealthy don't panic during recessions. They prepare and position themselves to take advantage. They don't catastrophize when investments underperform. They rebalance and stay strategic. They've trained their minds to remain calm and rational, precisely when everyone else is emotional and reactive. You can develop this anti-fragile psychology by deliberately exposing yourself to small, manageable financial challenges and learning to navigate them successfully. Start taking calculated risks and processing both successes and failures. Build your tolerance for uncertainty. Strengthen your ability to maintain a long-term perspective when short-term results are disappointing. This psychological resilience is ultimately what separates those who build lasting wealth from those who get lucky once but can't sustain it. So, here we are. 7 psychological approaches that separate the financially independent from the financially trapped. The identity shift that changes who you fundamentally believe you are. Future self-visualization that creates emotional connection to your later years. The abundance paradox that refuses to let scarcity thinking dictate your decisions. Delayed gratification mastery that reframes patience as power. Emotional regulation that creates space between feeling and action. Purpose-driven wealth building that connects money to meaning. An anti-fragile financial psychology that grows stronger through challenges. Notice that none of these approaches is really about money at all. They're about psychology, identity, emotion, purpose, and resilience. That's the secret that most financial advice completely misses. You don't have a money problem. You have a psychology problem. Change the psychology, and the money follows naturally. Here is my closing insight. Financial independence isn't a destination you arrive at when your net worth hits a certain number. Financial independence is a psychological state you can begin cultivating right now, today, regardless of your current bank balance. It's the inner certainty that you can navigate financial challenges, make strategic decisions, delay gratification when it serves you, and build toward a meaningful future. Some of the most financially trapped people I know have millions in the bank, but live in constant fear and scarcity. Some of the most financially independent people I know are still building wealth, but operate with absolute confidence and abundance consciousness. Which one are you becoming? Now I want to hear from you, because this is where the real learning happens. So, which of these 7 psychological approaches resonated most deeply with you? And more importantly, which one do you struggle with the most? Are you someone who needs to work on your identity shift, on seeing yourself as a wealth builder rather than someone who's bad with money? Do you struggle with connecting emotionally to your future self, making it easy to sacrifice long-term security for short-term pleasure? Have you been operating from scarcity consciousness even though intellectually you know better? Or maybe delayed gratification feels like deprivation rather than a strategy, and you need help reframing it? Perhaps you make financial decisions from emotional states rather than strategic thinking. Or maybe you are building wealth without any clear purpose and it feels empty. Or possibly you have a fragile financial psychology that gets thrown off course by every setback and market fluctuation. Drop your honest thoughts in the comments section below. Tell me which approach you are committing to developing. Share your own experiences with these psychological patterns, and let's create a community of people who understand that wealth is built from the inside out. If this video gave you a psychological breakthrough or shifted how you think about money and wealth building, hit that like button and drop your comments. I want to hear from you. I read your comments because we go deep into the psychology of success, wealth, and human potential on this channel. Remember, you are not just building a portfolio, you are building a psychology. Make it powerful, make it purposeful, make it anti-fragile.